CBC, get ready, it's coming.
CFL, CBC, we got millions of fans. We got a chorus of warriors chanting up in the stands. I made you fumble and I stole the ball. Next day, I saw your teammates and I crushed them all. Third day, you see me running, but you can't keep up. Cause I'm running the ball straight to the great cut.
Well, Milt Stiegel would tell you that too many Bombers fans would be able to buy tickets to a game in Toronto. Meanwhile, Crazy Joe Davola from Seinfeld fame apparently going to the game representing the Argonauts today. Tony Miles is out for Toronto, which means even more importance on Arlen Bruce, their spectacular receiver, who the Alouettes said last week was the #1 guy they were determined to take out of the game. They've got to get him involved today. Meanwhile, in Calgary, it is a beautiful day here at McMahon Stadium. Estimates coming that the temperature could go as high as 14 degrees, which means, thankfully, we can take off the heavy winter coats and relax here, enjoy the game in our suits. Sean Millington, Greg Freres, Kahari Jones. Guys, what are you looking forward to today?
Well, I'm looking forward to see which team can develop some momentum. Given that all the teams in the semifinals right now backed into the playoffs by losing their last game, momentum's going to be key. Looking out west, we're looking for the Stampeders and the Riders both to try and establish a run. And in the East, we're looking for Toronto and Winnipeg, two defensive juggernauts, to try and establish their dominance early.
Well, Sean, one thing we know about the playoffs is there are always tight, hard-fought games, and points are hard to come by, and that's why the kickers play a vital role. In the East, Troy Westwood for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers has got to be better than he was through the season. He had the poorest field goal percentage in the CFL this year. And in the West, rookie kicker Luka Kanji for the Saskatchewan Roughriders has had a great year, kicking 86% of his field goals, but he has really struggled in the clutch. And for the Saskatchewan Roughriders to beat the Calgary Stampeders, he may need to do just that.
Guys, I feel like this is going to be an emotional day of football, and I'm looking forward to it. 3 out of the 4 of these teams need to win this football game. The Calgary Stampeders need to win this game because they felt like they missed an opportunity last year against the Edmonton Eskimos. The Saskatchewan Roughriders feel like if they don't win this game, it might cost Danny Barrett his job. And the Toronto Argonauts feel like they need to win this game because of the firing of Ken Austin and their underachieving offense. The only team that really wants to win this game badly is the Winnipeg Blue Bombers because they are hosting the Grey Cup. So it's going to be a fun day of football.
There is a lot to preview, a lot to look forward to as we get prepared for these games this afternoon. We'll start out in Toronto. That's the first place we're going to look at the Rogers Centre with kickoff about 30 minutes away. And a lot of questions about the health and a lot of questions about the running game. And with some of the answers about those situations, we send you to Scott Russell. Scott?
Right on, Elliot. A lot of talk, as you say, about the little big man of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, talking about #1, Charles Robert. No fluke that he wears #1 on his chest. He is the CFL's leading rusher again. 2020 combined yards this season. He's a finalist for CFL's Outstanding Player. Great word for Charles Roberts is durable. In 6 seasons with the Bombers, he's missed exactly 2 games. We asked him yesterday about his expectations for this very big game against the Argos.
I don't have any expectation of how many carries I'm gonna get tomorrow or anything like that. If they need to use me and have me beat a horse, I'll beat a horse tomorrow. If they need to use me in the passing game a little bit more, I'm willing to do that. It's to get a win tomorrow.
Charles Roberts is universally respected. His quarterback, Kevin Glenn, said this is the one guy in the CFL that I would pay to see play. Also, that note you mentioned, Tony Miles, the wide receiver, will not go for the Argonauts. It's R.J. Soward again. Elliot?
Thanks a lot, Scott. And that is a huge loss for the Argonauts. But first, the Blue Bombers and the man they call Blink, Sean Miller.
Well, I think the key for the Blue Bombers is going to be establishing Charles Roberts. The last time that they went up against the Toronto Argonauts back in August, he had a huge game, 120 yards on 21 carries, but the critical mistake that they made was not sticking with the run. And that has proven over the last couple of weeks to be the key to beating the Toronto Argonauts. Can he do what Davis and Edwards have done before him, which is punch the ball into the end zone and therefore allow the Bombers to win on his back?
And Sean, in that August game that they did lose, there was 2 key receivers that will play this afternoon that did not play. Milt Stiegel did not play, and also newly acquired receiver Derek Armstrong, number 82, and over the last 4 weeks of employment outside of this last week against BC, he has averaged 8 catches for 97 yards. Finally, Milt Stegall has got a complimentary receiver, clutch receiver in Derek Armstrong, and that's going to go a long ways to be able to hopefully punch it into the end zone on the Toronto Argonauts.
And number 83 as well there, Greg.
And the person getting him the ball is definitely the one that I'm going to be focused on, and that's Kevin Glenn. I mean, Kevin Glenn is coming off of an ankle injury last game. He is not 100%, but he needs to stay in this game. Hopefully the adrenaline gets going in Kevin Glenn and he's able to fight through that. He's not a big runner anyway. He only ran for 185 yards this year, so he needs to be able to stay in the pocket, take the hits that you know the Toronto Argonauts are going to give them, and he should be okay.
And it was interesting watching the warm-up before this game with the 3 guys on the panel. I was noticing how much Glenn was limping, and they all said to a man, he hasn't taken the shot yet. So we'll see how good he looks when the game starts. Damon Allen, Sean.
Well, Damon Allen, you know, he's had a great, career. We've, had all sorts of accolades, but this year he's been struggling. He's only thrown for 2,500, just over 2,500 yards. Then that's half of his production from last year of 5,082 yards. And I think this is a critical game for him to demonstrate that he still has what it takes to lead his team to the Grey Cup and to still be effective, given that the offense has been so anemic.
And for him to be successful, he needs to utilize Arlen Bruce. I mean, Arlen Bruce is the man, especially with Tony Miles out right now. Arlen Bruce is going to have to be your focal point on this offense. I mean, he is the kind of guy that even if he's double teamed, you need to find a way to get him the ball. And great players usually have that ability to break out and make the play, even when it looks like he shouldn't make the play. So not like last game against Montreal, he cannot go away from Arlen Bruce, especially in the second half when they need him.
Well, and the Winnipeg secondary has actually played against Arlen Bruce really well. They were upset that they were underrepresented in the All-Star selection. Kelly Melvo and Anthony Malborough have actually kept Arlen Bruce in the 3 games that they've played against Toronto to 3 catches and 46 yards on average. So they have done a very good job against Bruce.
All right, guys, we will make our picks at the end of the show for both games. I think we kind of have an idea of which way you guys are going, but next we preview the West semifinal. Ken Keith needs to be a big factor for Saskatchewan.
It's holiday magic for your Air Miles card this weekend at Rona. From November 3rd to 5th, Rona will triple the Air Miles reward miles for every purchase of $20 or more. Get your coupon in-store or at Rona.ca. For expert advice and more, count on Rona, the how-to people.
Get ready for Will Ferrell as something he's never been before. Normal.
All right, who just said that?
Almost.
Hello! I'm being followed by a voice. Ugh.
This Friday.
What?
This Friday.
I can't think while you're talking.
Critics are calling Stranger Than Fiction brilliant.
It's a comedy.
Oh, goody. A contemporary masterpiece.
Thank you.
Stranger Than Fiction.
Are you the king at anything?
I'm sorry?
Do you have magical powers?
No.
Opens everywhere Friday.
Let's take a look at the new Tim Hortons breakfast sandwich. The new Tim Hortons breakfast sandwich. The new Tim Hortons breakfast, wait for it, sandwich. The new Tim Hortons breakfast sandwich looks delicious, doesn't it? With eggs, bacon, or sausage, processed cheese, all on a toasted home-style biscuit. It's just $2.49.
Always fresh at Tim Hortons.
It's holiday magic for your Air Miles card this weekend at Rona. From November 3rd to 5th, Rona will triple the Air Miles reward miles for every purchase of $20 or more. Get your coupon in-store or at Rona.ca. For expert advice and more, count on Rona, the how-to people.
What would happen if we took a trip and only made left turns?
Take a left!
We've made the left.
Who would we meet? Where would we find ourselves?
Left turn ahead.
And just how far would we go?
Third row, too slow.
Tell better stories. The 266 horsepower, 7-passenger Nissan Pathfinder.
I am Furious 5-6, your playoff drill instructor. From now on, you will speak only when spoken to, and the only words out of your filthy sewers will be, win, playoff, sir. Do you maggots understand that? Sir, yes, sir. There are no team favorites here. I do not look down on Bombers, Riders, Argos, or Stamps. Here you are all equally worthless. For the last 18 weeks, you busters have scored, danced, trash-talked, and tackled your way to where you sit now. In the corner like a couple of pimple-faced, stocky, flat-chested wallflowers hoping to get into the big dance. You had better unscrew yourself from that regular season hype, because right now your press clippings are on the bottom of a wreck page getting dropped on next to that Paris Hilton CD. You maggots are lucky. The other two teams are worthless and weak. Hell, they're at home crying like Star Jones cries over cheeseburgers late at night. Hell, they couldn't make a duck quack. They couldn't make a dog bark. They couldn't push play on a disc man. 4 teams will enter, 2 teams will leave. Which 2 will you be? Today you are a weapon, a minister of death, thanking God for Sunday and waiting for the whistle to blow. But until then, you are a pretender. When the clock strikes 4-0, someone's going home. Some of you for good. It's hard to play football with your hands around your neck choking. Do you have what it takes to fight for those last few remaining inches? You will laugh, you will cry, but you will win it all. Now, go out there and win it all.
That's great stuff, but I wonder, am I the only one who thinks that David Benefield was not acting during that entire last segment? All right, don't forget, as we get set for the semifinals, next week we've got the finals. The preview show on Saturday will be based from Vancouver at 5:30 Eastern, 2:30 Pacific, and of course, the Scotiabank East and West Championship games coming doubleheader beginning 12:30 p.m. Eastern, 9:30 a.m. Pacific. All right, there's a lot of talk about history here in Calgary. Kahari mentioned it earlier. 1 year ago, the game they lost here, and with more on the fallout from that, Brenda Irving. Brenda?
Well, Elliot, Calgary, the odds-on favorites to win this game today, but that's the same situation they were in just a year ago, and we all know what happened. Edmonton won the semifinal, went on to win the Grey Cup. And yesterday, I was speaking with quarterback Henry Burris about that, and he says the players really learned a valuable lesson from that experience.
We can't help teams out. Turnovers, we have to maintain the intensity. And I myself, I need to show that playoff grit that I was able to achieve in 2004 and carry it over to now, because really guys like myself, Joffrey, Jermaine Copeland, we're the guys who've been there, Elijah Thurman, and it's time for us to step up and lead this team throughout these playoffs.
And, the game within the game today, it's got to be the matchup between the Calgary offense and the Saskatchewan defense. Calgary led the league in total offense and rushing, and then on the other side, you have Saskatchewan, the stingiest defense against the run. Yesterday, Rider coach Danny Barrett was saying that he really believes the key for this club is to show intensity in this game right from the start.
We pride ourselves on being a physical ball club for 60 minutes. And it's important that from the first snap to the last snap that we bring a physical presence to the game. So the intensity has to be there from the start. And that's what I'm looking for. And it's my job to get them going. And that's what I'll do.
And the Riders are going to have lots of encouragement here today, Elliot. 10 to 15,000 Rider fans will be in the stands later this afternoon.
But of course, Brenda, not Gainer the Gopher, and the biggest story in the CFL this week. Intensity. Kenton Keith, does he have it, Sean?
Well, let's just see. Kahari Jones, do you remember Kenton Keith in 2003, the playoffs, when Kenton Keith was the man who devastated the Bombers? And I think that's going to be the case again today, going up against the Calgary Stampeders. Kenton Keith is going to be required to have a big game, because with their quarterback having some challenges, Kerry Joseph has been a little nicked up all season long. He's going to depend upon Kenton Keith to be able to take the pressure off of him, force the defense to respect what he's doing, and allow play action to be successful.
And Sean, after that back-to-back series against Calgary, Kenton Keith has become a different player, and they are a much better team when he's involved. Over the last stretch, he had 4 100-yard games, and they, like I said, a much better team when he is active and he's very dominant on the field.
Joffrey Reynolds, Greg.
Joffrey Reynolds has had, the Saskatchewan, like Brenda said, Saskatchewan is a very stingy defensive line, and yet the Calgary Stampeders have done a very good job. Joffrey Reynolds has averaged 100 yards in the 3 matchups that they've had, and the reason being is that Calgary widens the splits of their offensive line, and what that does is that forces the 2 interior defensive linemen for Saskatchewan, Nate Davis and Scott Schultz, to have to play in space. They are great north-south, but when you have to get them moving laterally, they're not as good, and I believe that's why the Calgary Stampeders are very successful running the football.
QBs, Kahari.
Well, I look at Kerry Joseph and Henry Burris, and I knew these guys were similar, but I didn't realize how similar. When you look at these two stats, I mean, they are one away from each other in completion percentage, one away from touchdowns, one away in interceptions. Their efficiency rating is about the same, and they both have two very good running backs that they can go to. I think that this game is going to come down to whoever makes the most plays at quarterback position, and we'll see who it is.
Quick, Greg, on all the defensive changes.
Well, it's amazing. In Calgary, they've made a ton of changes on their defense. I understand that they've lost 3 out of the last 5 and possibly needed to get better, but they have 3 new defensive backs, 3 new linebackers. That's half of their defense, and that really concerns me in regards to the execution, the communication between the players, and we'll see how that unfolds.
All right, first up, our game, of course, will be in Toronto, and we'll come back in just a couple of seconds with the panel picks and, of course, the 3-minute drill. The Bomber fans are confident. Why not? The Argonauts' offense has been struggling as they prepare for their home playoff game at Rogers.
Hey, boys, what can I do for you? I gotta go. I love you. Yeah.
I love you too. Bye.
Fewer dropped calls than ever before.
I love you.
On Canada's clearest wireless network.
What you doing?
Planning Christmas.
How's it going?
Peachy.
Are you sure?
Of course I'm sure.
Why so confident?
I've got the Christmas book of inspiration.
What's on page 7?
Decorations.
Page 31.
Gift ideas.
What's Dad's gift?
Check page 40.
And my gift?
You'll have to ask Santa.
Ding dong. Look for the Canadian Tire Christmas Book of Inspiration in the mail, in-store, or online. 44 pages of magic to help you plan the perfect Christmas. The Christmas season starts at Canadian Tire.
Play Safeway $1 Million Touchdown to Win playoffs. Spend $35, swipe your club card, and get in the game. Every game ticket could be a winner. Scratch 3 plays, cross the end zone, and win. And enter to win $100,000. Get a bonus game ticket when you buy any 3 participating products, including Kellogg's cereal and cereal bars. Our best to you. Get in the game today. Shop at Safeway. Ingredients for life.
Hello, Dragons. We're looking to raise $200,000 to $300,000.
Why?
Welcome to the Dragon's Den.
I've only got one single nerve left, and you're getting on it.
Wow. Canadian entrepreneurs pitch their big ideas to wealthy investors.
Stick these poles into the sand. Eureka!
Can they convince the Dragons to put up their own cash?
I'm excited. I'm in right now. I want the whole deal.
Or will they crash and burn?
I'm out.
Oh, I'm out.
Dragon's Den, Wednesday at 8 on CBC Television. Brought to you by Cadillac.
Somebody tell you what I couldn't tell you. I hope they did. I hope they didn't. Well, I learned to regret it, or should I forget it? Whatever this is, it feels electric. And I'm here of managers and lots of pretty boys lining up to meet with you. Oh, I'm pretty sure that it was you that I bumped into just the other day at the record store.
Somehow I have the feeling if the Argonauts win this game, these cheerleaders will be forced to buy tickets next week in Montreal. Kickoff about 10 minutes away. All right, guys, here we go. First question, Sean Millington, you're up first. Milt Stegall, one of the CFL's great quotes, took 2 runs at Toronto fans this week. Is Milt Stegall right in what he said about them?
Well, Milt kind of was disparaging about the Toronto fans, and I don't think he's referring to the fans who actually show up for the games, which Coach Clemens referred to, the 30,000 who come on average. Yeah, those guys are great. It's the rest of the people in the city with the largest per capita area in Canada who are not supporting the Argonauts.
Greg.
Well, I think it's deliberate on Milt Stegall's part. Great PR, because I hope that it got everybody upset in Toronto so that they flood to the stands and be able to get more than 30,000 people. They've done a great job over the last 2 years at getting more people into that stadium, and hopefully that continues to grow.
Kahari.
Yeah, I think he's right in saying it. 8 million people. 30,000, 600,000 people in Winnipeg. They get 25,000 people. The numbers don't add up. Toronto should be averaging more people coming to their games.
Clearly, Kahari does not work for the Census Department. 8 million, a little high for the Toronto area.
No, come on.
I think I just a little bit high. All right. Second question, Greg Frères,
Yes.
you're up first. Finish this sentence. Ricky Williams is ...
A lot of hype around Ricky Williams coming into this season. I say that Ricky Williams is maybe the 6th best running back in the CFL, but needs to be the best running back on the field today if Toronto has any chance to win today.
Kahari?
Ricky Williams is a good football player, and Ricky Williams is a different kind of guy. And I like the fact that he is in the CFL right now. I think he is a breath of fresh air because he gives a different perspective, and I like listening to him.
All right, Sean?
He's entertaining.
Well, he is entertaining. Ricky Williams is entertaining. Ricky Williams is a confused young man. He's a great football player, but as far as I'm concerned, he's confused about his priorities in life, and he'll get it straightened out one day.
You know what? I think the exact reverse. I think he has his priorities perfectly in order. All right, last question. Kahari, we start with you. Well, the Gainer the Gopher story was a big one. The Argonauts with the Montreal cheerleaders. Should road teams provide room for visiting mascots and cheerleaders to be at the stadium on the field during games?
Absolutely not. You did not win. You did not come in first or second place. That is your punishment. You don't get your cheerleaders. You don't get your mascot. Gainer can buy a ticket. Hey, why not? Hang out in the stands, try to get down. It'll be a lot of fun.
Sean?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, it's up to the team whether they want to allow the cheerleaders or the mascots to come on. But it's the way I think about it, if you're worrying about cheerleaders and mascots, you've got your emphasis in the wrong place. If you don't think that your team is strong enough to come out and defeat the opposition, regardless of cheerleading, hey, you've got problems.
Well, and you earn the right, like Kahari said, to make that choice. Exactly what you said, Sean, as well, to be able to have them or don't have them. And I think of a guy like Crazy George in BC. He started as a crazy fan who came in with his drum and got everybody hyped up. If I'm Gainer the Gopher, I'm just getting into the stands, buy a ticket, and just get everybody riled up. It'd be fantastic.
I think the only person who have a problem with that is the person with the seat directly behind Gainer the Gopher. I don't think they'd enjoy that as much.
Down in front.
All right, earlier on, before we get to the picks, earlier on we talked about Arlen Bruce. Tony Miles is out. Bruce has 475 yards more receiving than the rest of the Argonauts group of receivers combined, and he is with Scott Russell. Scott?
Elliot, all season long, Damon Allen's favorite target has been Arlen Bruce III. Arlen, how do the Argos get this anemic offense going at the end of the season when it counts?
Well, first, we're at home, so we got to get it going. We got to get the fans into it. And we also got to get our, everybody else on the sidelines into it. So if we come out early, making big plays, getting first downs, and moving the ball, we'll be successful.
I know you love to get the football, but does the absence of Tony Miles hurt the offensive chances at all?
Hopefully it won't. I mean, it's going to be a big miss from him, and I think the other receivers know what they have to do today. It's the semifinals. You have to step your game up, and I think the receivers understand that.
All the best to you, Arlen. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
There you go, Arlen Bruce III. Elliot, you might recall last week, great 60-yard catch and run called back against the Owls. Might have been the Argo play of the season.
Yes, it was, Scott. And also, he had just one catch for 33 yards in the second half, and he was upset. Time for panel picks, and we begin with the West. And the only guy who got Montreal correct last week, the red-hot Sean Millington, who's been on fire.
Oh, wow.
This year.
Talk about getting jinxed now. Well, anyway, I'm going to have to go with Toronto. And
West.
We're going in the West right now. Well, I'm going with Saskatchewan in the West. And the reason why I'm saying Saskatchewan, I just felt there was greater intensity around the team. Talking to Danny Barrett, that there's an intensity in his eyes, and I think he's going to convey that to his team.
Well, in the last 3 years, I found this interesting. The last 3 years, the visiting team has actually won the West semifinal. I'm picking Saskatchewan because the changes that Calgary's made on defense really concerns me. I see them being too young, and in a big game like this with a lot of emotion, I don't know if that's going to be able to translate into execution of their defensive game plan.
Well, I'm going to go with Calgary on this one. I feel like they learned a lot from last year against Edmonton, and I also feel like the home field advantage. They were 8-1 at home this year, and I think that's going to play a big part in this game. If it was in Saskatchewan, I might think differently, but it's in Calgary. I'm going with Calgary.
Truth is, Kahari's only making that pick because he lives in Calgary, and we're right outside the Stampeder room, so it wants nothing to do with it. My pick, and I defer to Greg Frere's football knowledge on this one. First of all, I think it's significant that Frere's is picking against the Stampeders, and secondly, I agree with him about the changes on defense. Let's go to the East, and Sean, we will start with you.
Well, since I was so eager to get started on the East before, I might as well get going now. And I'm going to say the Toronto Argonauts, just because I believe the health of Kevin Glenn is a substantial issue, and I believe that the Bombers are going to be significantly weakened by his inability to perform, and that's going to play into the Argos' defensive game plan.
Well, I think that Glenn is going to be healthy enough because against this Toronto defense and the style that they play, he's going to be handing the ball off, a lot of run to Charles Roberts, short passing attack, and they don't really have a pressure style of defensive front. They have fewest number of sacks in the CFL, being the Toronto Argonauts, so he's healthy enough in my opinion.
I'm going to go with Winnipeg also. I just feel like Winnipeg is in a better position to score points right now. Toronto has had trouble scoring points, and that concerns me, especially with a guy like Tony Miles out of the lineup. I feel like they're going to be relying a whole lot on Arlen Bruce, and I just don't think that's going to get it done.
All right, Kahari, my pick is with Sean. I'm going with the red hot hand. I'm going to take Toronto, and the reason is it's just that, you know, Kevin Glenn, I just have seen enough injuries and conspiracy theorists that I wonder in the playoffs if they're not hiding how serious this really is, and I'd be just surprised if he made it through the entire game unscathed. We got to go. We got to send you to kickoff. Toronto against Winnipeg, and both teams have taken a page from the New England Patriots and Bill Belichick. No individual introductions, just the teams. So the Bombers first, then the Argonauts. Steve Armitage and Darren Flutie are next.
Every day, countless Canadians find themselves in dangerous, even life-threatening situations. And every day, selfless men and women come to their rescue. The Royal Canadian Mint pays tribute to everyday heroes with a new 25-cent Medal of Bravery circulation coin. Find this special collectible in your change, save it, and honor our brave, everyday heroes.
I was gonna steal some credit card numbers to buy that new Z52 Superfusion telescope to try and see Uranus. Then I realized I could live like some playboy. I mean, look at me, I'm all hot. And when I'm not chilling with my ladies, I'm racing up the sweet Hawaiian coastline. Uranus is cool and all, but I want it all now. Right, Eugene?
Totally.
Rated E10 for ages 10 and up.
The critics agree.
All right, who just said that?
Stranger Than Fiction is genuinely funny.
Shut up!
Will Ferrell's best performance.
You have a voice speaking to you.
Not to me, about me.
Delightfully clever.
And with a better vocabulary.
Stranger Than Fiction.
Leave me alone!
The Good Stuff giveaway from Subway Restaurants. Win one of 3 2006 Kia Sorento SUVs, Costa Rican getaways with Gap Adventures, plus a cavalcade of prizes from Sony, Columbia, Sport Check, and more. For contest details, visit freshenergy.com.
It's a city that isn't aware of the CFL today. Toronto is front and center. The East semifinal, the CFL on CBC. Today's Scotiabank East semifinal features two teams that haven't met in this game since 1989. Their hometown is hosting the Grey Cup. Will the Blue Bombers be a major part of the big party? The Bombers quarterback is healthy. Kevin Glenn will test his sore ankle and his arm against one of the stingiest defenses in the CFL. But the key could be the running of Charles Roberts. Hi, everyone. I'm Steve Armitage along with Darren Flutie, and welcome to the Scotiabank East semifinal. Darren, will Sir Charles make the difference?
Steve, absolutely. Charles Roberts, leading rusher in the CFL, 3 of the last 4 seasons. This year, 1,609 yards on 303 carries. I mean, what does that tell you about the guy? Well, one, he's extremely talented as a runner and also as a receiver coming out of the backfield. But 303 carries and stayed healthy. He's extremely durable, too. And he achieved all this with 11 different offensive linemen playing this year and 39 different combinations along that offensive front. As Val St. Germain said, hey, all we got to do is give Charles Roberts a crease and let him do his thing.
In the Argo backfield, Ricky Williams not exactly dominating in his 2 games against the Blue Bombers. So if they've been saying all season, wait till the playoffs.
Yeah, well, Ricky came into Toronto with so much fanfare, you know, and deservedly so, Heisman Trophy winner, All-Pro in the NFL. But I would have to say with his 526 yards and missing 7 games this season, it's been a disappointment. But you know what? All that can turn around with one huge playoff game today against these Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I mean, you alluded to it, but in the 2 games against Winnipeg that they lost, only had those 17 carries for 20 yards. Has to do better than that.
And let's not forget John Avery, number 20, in that Argo backfield. It is time now for Darren's playoff Rona game note.
Thanks, Steve. Game notes for today, offensively for Winnipeg, Charles in charge. We just talked about it. Charles Roberts against this vulnerable defense of the Argos needs to have a big day. Defensively for Winnipeg, the Great Walls of Canada. And here we're looking at a Tom Canada and Gavin Walls combined 21 sacks on the season, need to get pressure on Damon Allen. And for the Argos offensively, running on empty. As we talked about, they struggled running the ball in the first 2 games, and they lost to Winnipeg. The last game, John Avery, 14 carries for 90 yards, and they won. Defensively, long, cold winter. Antonius Bonner is out, Chuck Winters is in. Winter has to be effective, stopping the run, and Charles Roberts for the Argos to win today.
7 years with the Montreal Alouettes, but this will be Doug Barry's first CFL game as head coach. 9-9 in the regular season, 2-1 against the Argos. His team 5-4 on the road. Barry says this is just another game. He's not nervous. This is not a new situation for Pinball Clemens. He's been there and done that as player and coach, but says his team, which won 8 of its last 11 games, has overcome major injuries to get this far. The Bombers electing to receive on the kickoff. Albert Johnson with a little bit of running room, and he will give the Bombers pretty good field position for first time with the ball. Kevin Glenn at one point in that game against the BC Lions early in that game the other week, it looked as if Kevin Glenn was down and out for the count with an ankle injury. It has come back strong, and Kevin Glenn says he's about 85% on the ankle.
We'll find out early enough how much mobility he has on that ankle. I mean, pretty tough defense in the Argos. He has to be elusive today for Winnipeg to be effective.
1st and 10 for the Blue Bombers. First possession from their own 37. Good play action. Glenn with all kinds of room. That ankle's going to get an early test, and he slides across the 50-yard line.
Well, this is classic. You see right away that the Argos are saying, all right, Kevin Glenn's banged up. We're not going to pay attention to him. We'll pay attention to Charles Roberts, and they bid on the play fake. And as he came around the corner, look at Fletcher's down, just going with Charles Roberts. Nobody's out there. They're going to see if he can run or not. He doesn't look like he's running great, but hey, if no one's out there, he can pick up 10 yards.
With that kind of space in front of him, you could pick up that kind of yardage.
I highly doubt that, but...
A 13-yard pickup, 1st and 10 now, Bombers from the 50-yard line. Another little play action, and again, tons of room. And that time, he unloads. Rambo on the receiving end of that one. Let's check the Blue Bombers offense.
Well, Charles Roberts missed everything, and Glenn, we're going to watch his ankle today. Looks good early, though. There's the receiving core. Milt Stiegel, I think, and Armstrong, the 2 leaders of this, need to step up and make the plays when called upon. And up front, well, they had a back to rush for 1,609 yards. They must be pretty decent. Kahn hasn't missed a game. Val St. Germain, maybe the best D lineman, offensive lineman.
5-receiver pack for the Bombers. They give to Roberts his first touch of the ball, and he picks up a couple. Let's check that defense for the Argos.
Well, there's the Argo D-line. Brown and England, the two big guys, but, you know, need to get pressure today on a gimpy Kevin Glenn. We'll see if they can do that. Linebacker core, very solid. Mike O'Shea, the leader there, but Ivan, just a great. And Chuck Winters in for Antonio Spanner today in the playoff game. Secondary, I mean, this is where they get all their points. Parker, 5 interception returns for touchdown. You got Younger back there and Cliff Ivory.
Empty backfield for the Bombers. Armstrong with the reception for Winnipeg. Very close to the first down. Younger in there to make the tackle for the Argos.
Well, if you're worried about Kevin Glenn early and how healthy he is, he looks very good. Couple bootlegs, he throws that one on a rope to Armstrong, and that's the type of pass you need to complete against the Argos. The nice conservative 10-yard passes just to keep moving the chains.
And we're going to get our first measurement of this Scotiabank East semifinal.
Steve, I think the offensive game plan coming into this has been great. I mean, you had to expect with Glenn's ankle bothering him, as we see they're just short, that it would be just a huge dose of Charles Roberts. But what they did early is do play action, roll Kevin Glenn out and say, hey, you better account for me. It's going to be a long day. And that'll open up the running holes for Charles Roberts.
Less than a yard to keep the drive alive for Doug Berry and the Blue Bombers. I mentioned the fact that Berry said he wasn't nervous, although he was a little bit uptight yesterday. I think just getting to the playoffs an accomplishment for the Blue Bombers, but now they're here. They'd like to keep it going and be the Eastern representative in the Grey Cup game in Winnipeg. Triple I formation for the Bombers, needing less than a yard. Kevin Glenn keeps it himself and has the yard and then some. Another first down for the Bombers.
Just so important for the Bombers to have this first drive, and even if they come down here and don't finish it off and get the touchdown, to move the football effectively, to have Kevin Glenn do just this, as we see the push along this offensive line that, despite having a back that rushed for 1,609 yards, not one all-star along that offensive line. They're playing with a little chip on their shoulder today.
Although the guy who carries most of the mail for the Bombers is the Eastern nominee for the outstanding player. That is Charles Roberts. First and 10 from the Argo 35. Roberts. And Roberts gets down just shy of the 30-yard line. Kevin Ivan there to make the stop for Toronto.
Just that little bit of a delay by Kevin Glenn, and the first two times he did that, he booted it out there. Now that he's done that, he's freeing up room for Charles Roberts, and as Val St. Germain said before the game, we just need to give him that crease. I think you see that when he gets the crease, he's an automatic 4, 5, 6 yards.
The second running back in CFL history to rush for more than 1,500 yards in more than 4 straight seasons. The only other one to do that was Mike Pringle. Little play action and the pitch to Roberts. He tried to swing it wide, and the Argos aren't biting.
That just shows the incredible team speed this Argo defense has. It looked like they had the play going to the strong side of the field, the right side of the field, and they optioned it out there. He had a lot of room, but Fletcher came flying up to turn Roberts back inside where he had help, and he got the help, and they made the play, forcing him into a long field goal attempt.
42-yarder for Troy Westwood. His longest of the year is 47. He's been good on 30 of 43. That one's got the legs, and it's good. So the Bombers take a 3-0 lead on a field goal from Troy Westwood.
The Scotiabank semifinals on CBC are brought to you by Scotiabank, proud to cheer on the CFL. By the all-new 2007 GMC Sierra, professional grade. And by Future Shop, Canada's #1 destination for big screen TVs.
Welcome back to Ask an Expert. Jordan from Halifax writes, my hard drive just crashed with all my files on it. What can I do? Don't worry. All you need to do to recover your data is...
Breaking news, it's the Sony sales event at Future Shop, where lots of Sony products are on sale at incredible prices. Plus, enter to win the ultimate Sony HD home theater package.
Be sure to follow those 4 crucial steps, and you'll get your files back.
Future Shop, helping Canadians connect.
Don't.
Arnold. Arnold. Arnold.
A special welcome to our Canadian troops watching today in Afghanistan and our American viewers watching on Cox Sports, TW Sports Syracuse, Kansas City Metro Sports, KTBU in Houston, and viewers of America One Network and Comcast Seattle. Hope you're enjoying the CFL on CBC Playoff Edition. Bombers kicking off following that Troy Westwood field goal. Livingston inside his own 15. Building up speed, now decides to come upfield. He's got some room. He's still on his feet. Livingston just short of the midfield stripe. Excellent field position for Damon Allen and the Argos offense.
That's just a huge part of what the Argos need to win a playoff game against Winnipeg today. They go to the field side, and it's just all Livingston's with that wall being set up. I mean, so dangerous with Livingston. I think we'll see a little bit of Arland Bruce back returning today, too. But to get field position right near midfield, I mean, for Coach Clemens, this is what he relies on this. Prefontaine in his kicking, in his return game to help them win.
Livingston certainly doing his job there. 1st and 10 for the Argos. Damon Allen puts it up, in, out of the arms of R.J. Soward. We saw that movie last week, did we not?
Yeah, it's not a good sign to see that early. I mean, little play action by Damon Allen puts it on the money. See, you got to catch it. You just got to catch it. I had a little nerves, early in the football game.
And the Argos are going without a huddle, maybe try to unsettle that Bomber defense early. 2nd and 10 for Allen and the Argos. Allen puts it up, intended for Talbot, and that was going one way while Talbot was going the other. Omar Evans covering on the play. That's a matchup we might look for.
It's a good match. I mean, Talbot was open. Both the first 2 plays for the Argos, Damon Allen saw man-to-man coverage across the board. He has Talbot here wide open. Talbot gets confused as far as looking for the ball and reacts late. Was open on the play, though. They need to, I hate to say it's such a cliche, get on the same page with the quarterback.
Noel Prefontaine to punt from his 45. The best punter in the CFL. And Albert Johnson just lets it go over his head. He may have lost it. And the Bombers fall on it. Flag down, no yards. You're watching the Scotiabank East semifinal, the CFL on CBC.
Every day, countless Canadians find themselves in dangerous, even life-threatening situations. And every day, selfless men and women come to their rescue. The Royal Canadian Mint pays tribute to everyday heroes with a new 25-cent Medal of Bravery circulation coin. Find this special collectible in your change, save it, and honor our brave everyday heroes.
Welcome back to the Rogers Center in Toronto, where Winnipeg have possession, their second possession of the game. They lead it 3-0 on a Troy Westwood field goal. 1st and 10 from the 19. Double tight for the Bombers. They get to Roberts. Roberts with room. Roberts still has it. Roberts knocked out of bounds at the 46-yard line.
Well, I don't know what adjectives to use about Charles Roberts that hasn't been said already, but he's amazing here. As you said, the double tight ends, great formation. Just give the ball to him deep enough where he can use his vision to go right or left. Here he bounces back to the left side behind Val St. Germain. I love that formation with the 2 tight ends and the 3 receivers, because all 3 are off the line and get that running start, which is very effective. But also you have 2 big guys on the end that help with Charles Roberts as far as the blocking is concerned.
A 28-yard pickup for the one they call Blink. So it's 1st and 10 Bombers from their own 47. Pitch back to Glenn. Glenn going deep. He's got Stiegel open, but the Argos swarm around the ball. Good recovery from the Argos secondary, knocking that down.
No, that was well covered. Steinhauer didn't bite on the run fake to Roberts. He kept his depth. You can see Orlando right in he's backing up, even though he saw run. 21 in the back of your screen, and now he's got an angle on Charles Roberts. I mean, well covered. A little trick play, try to get a big play. Good idea, but very disciplined, very experienced defensive secondary for these Argos.
I think Stiegel could have done with a little bit more on that ball. He was open for a short time, and had Glenn been able to lead him, that might have been catchable. 2nd and 10 Blue Bombers from the 47. Glenn in and out of the arms of the intended receiver Armstrong.
Yeah, they took a couple good chances on that series. Even that play right there, Kevin Glenn setting himself, looks very strong on his ankle, had some open receivers, just shot it. A little high on that one. But you know what? Winnipeg's offense looks good. They look good early.
They look sharp. Troy Westwood angling himself to kick this ball out of bounds. Livingston at his own 20, getting set to receive. No question about that. It takes the Blue Bomber bouncing, goes out of play at about the 28-yard line. So when we come back, Damon Allen and the Argos will have possession.
Pickup and SUV. Gasoline and E85 ethanol. Haul and tow. The all-new 2007 Chevrolet Avalanche, the most flexible vehicle out there.
Can I talk to you, miss? We're out here talking to people about all the reasons they can trust Fountain Tire. Did you know that not everyone can be a Fountain Tire store owner?
No.
Yeah, they have to be tire experts, too, you know, with a lot of experience, a lot of training, that sort of thing. Are there any questions that you'd like to have answered about Fountain Tire or tires? Or?
Are you a Fountain Tire expert?
Oh, no, I'm just a guy in a blue coat.
The owners are tire experts, too. That's why for over 50 years, people have trusted Fountain Tire.
Don't forget our CFL on CBC GMC Warrior of the Year. GMC is giving away a couple of trucks, all new 2007 GMC Sierras. Warrior of the Year gets one fan gets the other. Log on to cbc.ca/warrior, cast your vote, then enter to win the truck. Damon Allen, 1st and 10 with the Argos from their own 28. They trail 3-0. John Avery gets his first touch of the ball. Picks up 5.
I love that play when you give it off tackle or you give a lead play and you bring around a guy like Arlen Bruce and you fake the reverse. It just keeps everyone backside of that defensive line. As you watch, there's the give to Avery and the fake to Arlen Bruce. And you see Canada go with them. I mean, that just keeps them at home. Just to open up lanes for your running backs. I just think it's a great idea, and you can do that consistently throughout the game.
They spot the ball at the 34, so the Argos are 2nd and 4. Allen with time. Keith Stokes flagged down, but Stokes still on his feet. Crosses the 45-yard line. Has the first out and then some, but will the flag bring it back?
Holding 65 Toronto.
It looks like it's going to be holding against the Argos.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be Jerome Davis, the right tackle. And bring him back undisciplined early, right? We had the drop early, and now a
holding.
Big play.
Toronto number 65, 10-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
A big play called back because of Davis. It's coming right here on Canada, and we said Canada with his 10 sacks. You see him kind of pull down on that right shoulder. You know, that's a little iffy there, Steve. I'm not sure. Guys are working hard to protect their quarterback. I don't think Walby would agree with that one.
That nullifies the big game of Stokes. It's 2nd and 14, Toronto. Now move back to their own 24. Allen completes to Talbot, and Talbot gets the first down.
That's big after the penalty, but here's the offense. There's the combination everyone wanted to see. Williams and Avery in the same backfield. See if they can run the ball, and there's the receiving core. Talbot with the big catch right there to convert the first down. Make no mistake about it, Arlen Bruce is the guy from that receiving core. And there's the guys up front, all-stars, Williams, St. John, and Davis. 3 all-stars along the offensive line for the Argos.
A 16-yard pickup, 1st and 10, Toronto from the 40. They give to Avery. Avery with daylight. Avery across the midfield stripe. Kyrie Gébert in there to make the stop for the Bombers.
Well, we talked about it just before the game, saying Ricky Williams didn't run well against the Bombers, but John Avery did with his 14 carries for 90 yards. And here again, the fake reverse to Arlen Bruce just freezes him for that moment. And I tell you, Avery still has his quickness and that burst. Once he gets into the secondary, watch out. John Avery's a great runner.
17-yard gain. 1st and 10. Argos from the 53. Good fake. And just as he threw it, Allen was hit and popped the ball up, but a flag is down.
Wow, he took a shot from Gavin Walls, and they're going to get away, get an offsides on Winnipeg. But wow, we talked about Canada and Walls being the big guys along that defensive front, and they're getting in there early.
Offside. Winnipeg, number 98, 5-yard penalty, still 1st down.
Well, maybe that's why he got the hit on Damon Allen.
He got a jump, an illegal jump. Gavin Walls is wearing the microphone for us today, so we'll be checking in with Gavin Walls from time to time. The Argos now 1st and 5 from the Bombers' 48-yard line. They trail 3-0. First quarter action. Scotiabank East semifinal here in Toronto. Williams, and he's got daylight. Williams still going, dragged down at the 25-yard line. That's the Williams Argo fans wanted to see.
I just think it's great execution for this Argo offensive line. Also the running backs again. Watch the fake to Arlen Bruce. I just see 2 or 3 defensive linemen freeze and go with the fake reverse. And hey, these guys are great backs. I mean, Williams and Avery, you give them that crease, just like a Charles Robertson, and they're going to get some yards for you. I just think that the game planning and the execution along that offensive line with a fake reverse has been very effective early for the Argos.
When he is square to the hole like he was that time, he is a big load, a tough man to bring down. A 23-yard pickup, 1st and 10 Argos from the Bombers' 25. Avery, and he's in trouble. Good job by the Bombers defense to stop Avery. Let's check that Winnipeg D.
Well, Winnipeg defensively, we talked a lot about Canada and Walls. Walls 11 sacks, Canada 10, and there's Doug Brown playing with that injured shoulder. Well, Simpson's the guy at middle linebacker, 110 tackles on the season. Haven't called his name much at all this game. He needs to get involved quickly. Good secondary, experienced guys with Marlborough, Malvo, and Omar Evans at the corner.
A loss of 2 on that last play. Doug Brown playing with a very tender shoulder. There was some doubt as to whether he'd be able to play in this one, but he's there, and he's a force when he's healthy. Allen brought down.
Thank you.
Tom Canada, the man in the Argo backfield to do the damage.
Yeah, when you see a sack today from that Winnipeg defensive front, it's either going to be Tom Canada or Gavin Walls, and we see him come from the bottom, one-on-one, again, just getting that bull rush. I mean, really controlling the offensive line. We already saw a holding call on Jerome Davis, and that time you saw him tentative backing up into his quarterback.
37-yard field goal attempt from Noel Prefontaine. He was good on 31 of 42 in the regular season. His longest 52. Well within his range, and it's an easy field goal for Noel Prefontaine. We are tied at 3. You're watching the CFL on CBC.
Hi, Chris.
Hello.
Welcome back to Ask an Expert. Jordan from Halifax writes, my hard drive just crashed with all my files on it. What can I do? Don't worry. All you need to do to recover your data is...
Breaking news, it's the Sony sales event at Future Shop, where lots of Sony products are on sale at incredible prices. Plus, enter to win the ultimate Sony HD home theater package.
Be sure to follow those 4 crucial steps, and you'll get your files back.
Future Shop, helping Canadians connect.
What'd you get?
Junior chicken sandwich.
Yeah, I saw this thing on TV. It says that chickens can run like 15 kilometers an hour.
No, there's no way a chicken can run that fast.
Yes, it can. I saw it.
All right, let's see. And go.
Dude, that's not gonna...
The Junior Chicken. It's got people talking. Just $1.39 any day you want it. Part of our Value Picks menu.
Welcome back to the Scotiabank East semifinal. We are tied at 3, Argos and Blue Bombers.
Well, there's Jerome Davis right there. He missed last week's big game against Montreal due to a rib injury, and watch Canada just go right through him. You got to wonder if that rib injury is still bothering him, because he had the holding penalty earlier when he got beat on the outside, and then he just strength on strength right there. Canada just blew right through him. So we'll watch Jerome Davis today, because the tackle is so important to a quarterback, especially his right side for a right-handed quarterback.
And following the Argo field goal from Prefontaine, the Bombers are 1st and 10 from their own 35. To the right side. They give to Roberts. Roberts right up the middle, and he crosses the 40-yard line. Right now, let's check in with Scott Russell. Scotty?
Right on, Steve. Kevin Glenn sporting some new high-cut boots today. A blast from the past. Looked like something Bomber legend Kenny Payne might have worn, all in an effort to support that ankle. We talked to Glenn earlier about his mobility. He said he would not endanger the chances of his team if he wasn't completely confident in it. By the way, should Glenn falter today, it will be Brad Banks to back up, not Dimwitty, who struggled against BC last week. Steve?
You know, Scott, I don't think Bomber fans would care if he was wearing knee-high boots, as long as it works. Boy, that was almost picked off.
Almost picked off by Wheaton, but a heck of a throw by Kevin Glenn. I mean, he's on today. He put that on the money. Not sure if Wheaton gets a piece of this. I'm sure we'll see in the replay, but if he had underthrown that on Milt's backside shoulder, this was a touchdown for Kenny Wheaton. He just gets his fingertips on it. right there, you see him deflected enough to distract Milt Stegall, and he doesn't haul it in. But I thought a well-thrown ball.
Glenn going for the man who probably wants to win this game more than any other in Milt Stegall. Troy Westwood will punt from his own 30-yard line. And again, he's going to angle it out. And pinball took it on the fly. Out of bounds. Shades of years gone by here in Argoland. Pinball made the catch. We're tied at 3 here, and the fans get a huge kick out of that.
You know, that is, I've seen that too many times from the other sideline, pinball catching that and going to the house the other way. That'll show you how loose these Argos are. You know, here's a team that, hey, we've been here, we've done that. The head coach is catching the ball and running back and punt on the sideline.
I don't know that was an instinct on the part of pinball.
Yeah, you know, I think it's also the way he wants his team to play. Hey, be loose. This is a playoff game, but have fun, enjoy it, and just play ball.
That might be the bottom line. Have fun. 1st and 10 Argos from the 47. Play action buys Allen some time. He's airing it out, going deep, and what a catch! Arland Bruce, a huge catch down to the Blue Bomber 20-yard line.
Wow, where do you begin? What a throw by Damon Allen. I mean, well covered by Marlborough. You couldn't put it anywhere else. And a tremendous catch. And here we get it, 101. Marlborough stays on his outside shoulder, doesn't go for the fake. Stride for stride, looks for the ball, reaches out, but just perfectly thrown. I mean, yeah, great catch by Arland Bruce, but Damon Allen, wow, he put that one on the money.
A 43-yard pickup that moves it down to the 20-yard line where the Argos are now 1st and 10. Flag is down. Looks like it'll be procedure.
Great catch by Arland Bruce, though, also. I mean, covered so well.
Procedure. Toronto number 68. 5-yard penalty. Still 1st down.
Dave Costa gets caught on that one. Arland Bruce did a little bit of trash talking this week. I am very confident, and I know that no one can stop me but me. He was right on that one.
Yeah, as a receiver, you know, he's going through that where he's very confident. But I'll tell you what, defenses can take away a receiver. It's not like, you know, you're a running back where you're going to get your touches no matter what.
Argos 1st and 15. It is Bruce on the reverse, and they are going to stop him this time. Shy of the 25-yard line. Had to get down to the 10 to keep the drive alive.
Yeah, from the Argos perspective, though, you had to do this at least once just to keep them honest backside, to keep respecting that so you can get those running lanes for Ricky Williams and John Avery. So, yeah, why not run it once and then keep sticking it in there with Williams and Avery.
So it's 2nd and 16 from the 26. Needing to get down to the 10. Jeff Johnson into the game for the Argos in the backfield. Complete pass to Keith Stokes. Stokes brought down at the 21-yard line, well short of the 1st down.
In a game between these two teams where rarely do you see them, either one of them go over 20 points, especially when they play each other. These field goals are huge, so a little 6-8 yard pass right there, even though it's not close to a 1st down, gets it closer for Prefontaine. I mean, 3 points is big in these games where the final score, like their game in August on the 25th, was 18-15 Argos. I mean, that'll tell you how big 3 points can be.
28-yard field goal attempt for Prefontaine. Good on his first one, and he's good on his second. So the Argos increase their lead by 3, 6-3, with 33 seconds remaining to play in the opening quarter. Tuesday night, an all-new Rick Mercer report. Rick gets a drumming lesson from one of the world's great drummers from Rush. Then a new episode of This Hour has 22 minutes. It all starts Tuesday at 8 o'clock on CBC. Do you know the drummer of Rush?
I absolutely do. There is no one better than Neil Peart. Wow, I gotta watch that just to see Neil Peart from Rush.
Doug Berry has seen a pretty good effort, both defensively and offensively, from his Bombers team so far. First and 10 from the 35. Roberts. And Roberts runs into a brick wall known as England at the 40-yard line. Picks up about 5 or 6 on the carry.
They've been so effective running the football, and here they go right with it again. 5 or 6 yards on first downs, and I was going to say it last time, but watch Roberts finish his runs. You think of him as the quick, speed, elusive running back, but when he hits a pile, that pile moves forward, and those 1, 2, 3 extra yards are so important as far as moving the chains.
Should be the final play of the opening quarter. 2nd and 4 make it for the Bombers from their own 41. Double tight. Kevin Glenn pumps once, buys some time, gets back to the original line of scrimmage, and keeping is the man who brings him down. So as we end the opening quarter, the Argos are in front of the Blue Bombers by a count of 6-3 here at the Rogers Center in Toronto.
Past School Special, presented by the new Aveo sedan. Today, Johnny learns to just say no.
Look at all those stars.
We should go, Cheryl.
Come on, Johnny, it'll be fun, I promise.
Hussy. No, we're illegally parked, and that could result in a ticket.
Let's get a bite to eat instead.
You dodged a bullet there, Johnny. The new Chevrolet Aveo sedan with a sunroof and other hip stuff.
Let's take a look at the new Tim Hortons breakfast sandwich. The new Tim Hortons breakfast sandwich. The new Tim Hortons breakfast, wait for it, sandwich. The new Tim Hortons breakfast sandwich looks delicious, doesn't it? With eggs, bacon, or sausage, processed cheese, all on a toasted home-style biscuit. It's just $2.49.
Always fresh at Tim Hortons.
Welcome back to Ask an Expert. Jordan from Halifax writes, my hard drive just crashed with all my files on it. What can I do? Don't worry. All you need to do to recover your data is...
Breaking news, it's the Sony sales event at Future Shop, where lots of Sony products are on sale at incredible prices. Plus, enter to win the ultimate Sony HD home theater package.
Be sure to follow those 4 crucial steps, and you'll get your files back.
Future Shop, helping Canadians connect.
Welcome back to the Scotiabank East semifinal, where the Argos have a 6-3 lead on the Blue Bombers as we begin the second quarter.
Yeah, we look at the first quarter stats, pretty even. Yards passing, Winnipeg hasn't thrown the ball well, as no team does against the Argos. If you're going to beat him, you're going to beat him with the run, and it's going to be Charles Roberts. But both teams, I think, have looked better than kind of we talked about early, offensively at least. Their offenses have done well. Winnipeg certainly has run the ball well, but the Argos, Williams and Avery, have run the ball extremely well.
Troy Westwood getting set to punt. And he will try and angle this out of play, keep away from Livingston. Make that Keith Stokes back to receive this punt. And Stokes will get it at the 35, 40, 45, still on his feet and tripped up at the 50-yard line, but a flag is down.
Well, true to most punt returns, we see a flag on it, but this one's going to go against Winnipeg, which I would think the Argos would refuse this one because they have great field position. It's interesting, with Livingston back there, we certainly saw Westwood go out of bounds with his punts. And I think a smart move by Coach Clemens to put Keith Stokes back there, thinking that
Winnipeg number 90. Penalties decline. First down
just thinking, well, maybe with Keith Stokes back there, maybe he'll put it in play and we can get a return, and that's exactly what happened.
And they spot the ball just shy of the 50-yard line, where Damon Allen and company will be 1st and 10, leading 6-3. The winner today advancing to the Olympic Stadium in Montreal next weekend, next Sunday afternoon, against the Alouettes. And the winner of that one goes to the Grey Cup. Allen gives to Avery. And Avery trying to get to the midfield stripe. Brown is there to make the stop.
Well, between the dynamic duo today in the backfield, Williams and Avery, we're seeing Avery get the bulk of the work, and it makes sense because if you go back earlier in the season, he's the one that had the big game. And watch it here, continue with the ball fake for the reverse to Bruce, and they get 4 yards on 1st down.
And once again, Damon Allen trying to speed things up, put a little stress on that Bomber defense. No huddle, and Allen almost trips up, gets the pass away, complete to Arline Bruce. Bruce is close to picking up the 1st down, depending on whether they mark it.
That's a great effort by Damon Allen and also by Arline Bruce, because he didn't have that 1st down. As we watch Damon kind of stumble a little bit, then recover. And Arline Bruce, watch him catch it, but he still needs, we'll see the end of Damon Allen. And Arline Bruce, little rub play with Keith Stokes to get in the way of Marlborough. Then he needs to get like 5 more yards. And he turns it up right away. He comes close to the 1st down and actually picks up the 1st down. So even though, you know, Arline Bruce is the guy, everyone knows it, they still get the football to him, and it's effective.
Great recovery on the part of Damon Allen. Terrific balance from a 43-year-old. Able to recover and get that pass away, as Darren pointed out. Comes into this game having passed for over 4,600 yards in the playoffs. That's a career for a lot of quarterbacks in regular season. Double tight for the Argos. 1st and 10 from the 51. Williams up the middle. Picks up 5.
Well, you talked about his performance in the playoffs, and, you know, that's when it really counts. You get into the playoffs, that's when you need to step up, and that's what he's done. I just draw so many parallels between the 2004 season where Damon was hurt and missed 7 games, and this year he missed 6 games. I mean, almost identical statistically, except he threw more interceptions this year. So think that same thinking. Of course, 2004 they go on and win the Grey Cup. As long as he takes care of the football, doesn't turn it over, they still got a chance to win football games in the playoffs.
Allen with time. Goes to Crawford. Crawford wide open. Crawford with room. Crawford down inside the 25-yard line. Marlborough there to bring him down. Otherwise, Crawford was gone. 24-yard pickup for the Argos.
Well, these are the type of guys that need to step up, right? If you're going to take away Arline Bruce in crucial situations, a guy like Crawford, a guy like Talbot, a guy like R.J. Soward need to make big plays when called upon, and that's all he does. He runs his route, caught the ball when it's thrown to him, and then turned it up and picked up big yards.
Double tight again from the 22-yard line. Ricky Williams crashing up the middle for the Argos.
Well, you see the formula for the Argos early. They've run this off-tackle play so many times with the fake reverse. Pound it up in there. Let Ricky Williams and Avery do them. Alternate who's carrying it to keep them both healthy and fresh. And then when you need it, get man-to-man coverage on 2nd and 5, 2nd and 6, and convert it. Make the play.
A pickup of 4, so it's 2nd and 6 for Toronto. From the Winnipeg 18-yard line. Allen with time, going deep, looking for Bruce. Bruce might have been interfered with at about the 2 or 3 yard line.
Well, I don't know, Steve. If you count Barron Simpson trying to run him over and drive him into the ground as interference, yeah, he might have been. You can't tell me they don't pay attention to Arline Bruce. As he was running a crossing route from left to right, coming backside. Not going to be called.
Holding. Toronto number 56. Penalties decline. 3rd down.
That's on Chad, the center. But boy, and then now they'll force him into a field goal situation. But boy, they're really paying attention to Arline Bruce in the 2nd down, 2nd and 5, 2nd and 6, 2nd and 7. They're throwing linebackers at him and then covering man-to-man over the top.
The key is they're picking up points on all these drives, and those points will add up. from the 25-yard line. Third field goal attempt, and it's wide from Prefontaine. Good on the first two, but he misses this one. So the Argos will have to settle for a single. They lead the Bombers by 4, 7-3 in the second.
When you need the full story, rely on CBC News The National, led by Chief Correspondent Peter Mansbridge. Weeknights at 10 on CBC Television.
On the Jill Deacon Show, we are going to have some fun.
Can we snoop?
Please snoop away. Come and see for yourself. Weekdays at 11 and 2 on CBC Television.
I wish I lived closer to the office. Not this close.
This one's only a 10-minute commute.
Find your perfect place with RE/MAX. View homes like never before with Google Earth on remax.ca.
Can you imagine a world where safety has nothing to do with size? The impact-reducing ACE body structure in the new CR-V, only from Honda.
I've wanted a treehouse my whole life.
I mean a real treehouse.
Find your perfect place with RE/MAX. View homes like never before with Google Earth on remax.ca. Outstanding agents, outstanding results.
In the Rogers Center today, getting us closer to the action, Gavin Walls.
Mic'd Up, brought to you by Rogers Wireless, Canada's clearest wireless network.
Huh? I'm right here. I'm right here. Bring it on back. Take it on back.
The Bombers with possession, and their last two possessions, they've been 2 and out. They give to Charles Roberts, and Blink gets across the 40-yard line before being dragged down by Kevin Ivan.
So similar, these two offenses, with the game plan coming into the playoff game today. Run on first down with double tight ends, and then try to convert on second and short. As we look at Sir Charles and his seasons, I mean, he's just been amazing. And I think hasn't gotten kind of the respect that he's deserved. But I think this year, certainly everyone has to sit back and take notice of the year he had.
I don't know about the lack of respect. We call him Sir Charles. What more does he want? And they give it to Sir Charles. Winters there to make the stop. Winters playing in place of Antonius Bonner.
You see how the Argos have played Sir Charles defensively, trying to contain him. The flea flicker there with Stiegel. The tip by Winters. Some good defense, but when the Bombers have moved the football, they've done it by running, and it's been Charles Roberts, and they've done it fairly well throughout the first quarter.
The Bombers from their own 48, they're 1st and 10, and they give it to Roberts again. Tough yardage for Charles Roberts. Winters there to make the stop.
They've been consistent with this, and they've run it well, and to get away from Charles Roberts is a big mistake, even to go back on 2nd and 5 and 2nd and 6 and go away from him. As we see him just push it up in there, and a good job by that offensive line. I mean, he's the guy that's got you here in this position. Keep riding Charles Roberts. You know he's durable enough to carry it 25, 30 times in a game.
2nd and 5, Winnipeg from the 53. Roberts again. This time Roberts does it by himself. He wanted to go inside and then was forced to go outside, and has enough to keep the drive alive.
That's just what we were talking about. Why not? 2nd and 5, it's a passing down, but go to him. He does it all on his own. He sucks Jonathan Brown in with the move and then cuts on a dime and bounces it back out. You know, if he's your guy, give it to him. Keep giving it to him and let him take over the game.
From the 49. Winnipeg now 1st and 10, 8:20 to play, second quarter. Argos lead 7-3. Jackson buys Glenn some time, then he underthrows Milt Stegall.
Wow.
This Tuesday night at 9 on CBC, Ian Tracy stars in Intelligence. It's a crime drama set in a world of espionage where the rules are there are no rules. Darren Flutie's kind of world. Intelligence, Tuesday at 9 on CBC. Speaking of intelligence, there's the head of intelligence for the Toronto Argonauts, Pinball Clemens, in a chess game with Doug Barry in his first CFL playoff game as head coach. 2nd and 10. They give to Roberts. Roberts, room up the middle, down to the 35-yard line.
When you have Charles Roberts in the backfield, as we see, there's a flag late here. I don't know what this is, but all bets are off as far as tendencies. Throwing it 2nd and 10, forget it. Give it to Charles Roberts. You got just as good as a chance picking up the first down with the ball in his hands and throwing it.
Flag coming away from the play. Andre Proulx with the call.
Yeah, we'll see who this one's on.
It's going against the Argos.
Unnecessary roughness. Toronto number 13. Penalty will be enforced from the end of the play. 15-yard. First down.
Clifford Ivory and Rich Stubler doesn't like the call.
And they'll take Cliff Ivory out of the game after that one. A little punishment, but the big part of that was picking up that first down, 2nd and 10. So tough. But Winnipeg can run the ball in situations. That's got to keep a defense on its heels when you don't know what's going to come, even though you get the down and distance. And right in the back, you see Cliff Ivory right behind Roberts give a shot to the head.
1st and 10, Blue Bombers from the Argos 20-yard line. Roberts, his 12th carry of the game. And Roberts down inside the 15-yard line. Going into that carry, he picked up 79 yards already.
It's just like the regular season for Charles Roberts. He's going to run well no matter who's playing, or no matter what situation. And normally this is when we're talking, we've seen, what, 3-4 drives combined by both teams, and no one has put it in the end zone. But I'll tell you what, with these two teams, there's such low-scoring football teams, you need to make sure you come away with the field goal. You know, you need the 3 automatically. That's why the Prefontaine miss was so big. But if you get 7, I mean, that's bonus time.
Our director, Jeff Johnson, just came up with a great line. He said the only time you can't see Charles Roberts is when he goes into the huddle. You certainly see him outside of the huddle. And there he is again. Down inside the 10-yard line. Close to the first down. They needed 5 to keep the drive alive, keep it going. They'll get a measurement. And this will be close, depending on the spot.
Yeah, watch him just get tripped up at the end, right? He looks like he's going for big, and then the leg comes out from, oh, that's a classic Mike O'Shea move. Watch the leg kick. Woo! I've seen that a few times. Actually had that done to me by Mike O'Shea.
14-year veteran of the CFL is Mike O'Shea. 15th playoff game. 1999, CFL's outstanding defensive player of the year.
You don't get all those tackles by doing everything textbook. You know, occasionally you got to use different limbs, not just your arms. Little leg tackle right there, and this is big. I mean, it's 3rd and inches. And I think, you know, with that 1 yard you get with the CFL defensive line having to be off a yard, to go back to the quarterback sneak, right? Try to move the chains.
This is a no-brainer on the part of Doug Barry. I think you got to go for it here. Just for confidence of the team. You're down 7-3, 6:26 remaining, 2nd quarter. Glenn keeps it, but flags are down. Procedure.
You know, I should have said it. As they were doing it, I thought, and it is procedure, I thought to myself, you know what they'll try to do is draw them all sides, but when you do that, you always risk one of your guys jumping. And what should have been an auto, if you just go up and go on first down, boom, you get the first down probably 9 out of 10 times. But they tried to get cute there, and now they're backed up 5, and they have no choice but to go for 3.
Procedure. Winnipeg 67. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
Yeah, you see it right here. along the left side of the offensive line. Ooh, that's a killer.
A costly procedure penalty against Abu Mekrik. Troy Westward just outside the 22-yard line. Should be a chip shot for Westwood. It is. So a second field goal from Westwood pulls the Bombers to within 1. Argos lead 7-6.
So the game last night, Mike?
Yeah.
Like 20-point comeback?
In the fourth quarter.
In the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
I cannot believe it. Huh. There's been some kind of a pep talk in it. Hold on. Okay, okay, what?
You got to dive for those.
I'm not diving.
This is carpet.
Hey, boys, what can I do for you?
I gotta go. I love you. Yeah.
I love you too. Bye.
Fewer dropped calls than ever before.
I love you.
On Canada's clearest wireless network. Work, play, play, work. Two words that are worlds apart. They don't belong together. Have absolutely nothing in common. Or so you thought.
Don't forget our Warrior of the Game. Log on to cbc.ca/CFL in the second half to vote for the player who you think showed the heart and determination of a warrior. We'll show you the winner in our post-game show. Warrior of the Game is brought to you by the all-new 2007 GMC Sierra. Might it be Kevin Glenn? Might it be Sir Charles? Bruce of the Argos. Sheer Livingston at the 15, 25, 30, still on his feet. Another good kickoff return from one of the best, Sheer Livingston. Let's go down to the sidelines and join Scott Russell with Tony Miles. Scotty.
Right, Steve. Tony Miles, 44 catches, 626 yards this year. Hasn't played in 2 games. He's got a bad foot. What is it about the foot that won't let you be successful, Tony?
Well, you know, with the foot, that's why all the pressure goes on your foot when you're running, you're walking, and things like that. And right now, I mean, I couldn't put that much pressure on it, you know, in order for me to go out here and contribute in a major way in this football game. So it would be wise for me not to go out there and play if I don't think I can be that efficient.
You got 2 weeks without practice. Should the Argos get to Montreal next week for the final, could you get ready, and how?
Oh yeah, I definitely can get ready really fast. I mean, today just being out here in this atmosphere, I feel a whole lot better. And you know, in games like that, you can't miss. So I got to do everything I can do to play in that football game.
Good luck getting back, Tony. A big play for the Argos. Let's talk to Steve.
Thank you, Scotty. A big play here involving, you guessed it.
Well, yeah, Damon Allen, that Arlen Bruce block right there. Look at that one. I thought there was holding along that. I thought it was Arlen Bruce right in front, but what an effort by Damon Allen and Ricky Williams and Arlen Bruce, and then was that Talbot coming back, laying somebody out. I mean, you know it's playoff football with bodies flying around like that.
Holding, Toronto number 65. Penalty occurred before yards were gained. It will be a 10-yard
Jerome
penalty
Davis
from
again.
Previous point of scrimmage. First over.
That is a huge penalty. That negates a 43-yard pickup by Ricky Williams and a great effort by Damon Allen to get the ball away. But it all comes back because of the holding call.
Such a great play on so many ends of it. Damon Allen, Ricky Williams, Arlen Bruce, and then Talbot's block. And again, back to Jerome Davis with that rib injury going against Canada. you know, he's a tough guy to control, and if you're a little banged up, sometimes you resort to holding.
1st and 20 Argos from their own 38. They lead by 1, 7-6. 5:17 to play, second quarter. Avery, but nowhere to run as he gets to the 35-yard line. Does not get back to the original line of scrimmage.
Yeah, good call. The second and first and very long. Go to the screen. The thing I always worry about in the screen, and watch John Avery, when he catches it, he can't look upfield, right? Because he has to turn around and look at the quarterback to catch the screen. If he was looking upfield, he would have known to cut back inside because the defender and Barron Simpson was outside. But that's what I don't like about the screen pass. Obviously, it can be a very effective play, but the running back or receiver isn't looking at the defense when he catches the ball.
And he ran into the arms of the minister of defense, the ordained minister, Barron Simpson. A lot of time for Damon Allen. He had his man wide open, but he overthrew Talbot.
Yeah, he did. He overthrew him, and it was going to end up out of bounds, but I'm concerned about Talbot, and watch him at the end of it. I think it's a well-thrown ball, but it does drift out of bounds, but he still never finds the football. Right there, what? He doesn't find it to the last second and adjust, and he had that problem earlier in the game also.
And you know who was open on that play was Bruce, through the middle.
Yeah, they had the design out and up, though, because the defensive backs were jumping on it, and they wheeled it up the sideline, and he was wide open. That was gone for a touchdown if it was thrown in bounds, and if Talbot could have seen it.
Prefontaine in the punt. Let's see if he angles this one out of bounds. Albert Johnson III is back to receive the punt. Good spiral from Prefontaine inside the 20 for Johnson III. Johnson tries to get up to the 30-yard line. Brought down to about 27 or 28. So when we come back, the Bombers will have the ball, trailing by 1, 7-6 in the second.
Work, play, play, work. Two words that are worlds apart. They don't belong together. Have absolutely nothing in common. Or so you thought.
Play Safeway $1 Million Touchdown to win playoffs. You could win $100,000 or a 7-night all-inclusive stay for 2 at the Oasis Cancun. Flights courtesy of ConquestVacations.com. A Pentax Optio M10 digital compact camera. A men's Bulova Solar watch. An XM satellite radio with 12-month service. Or a Logitech Harmony 880 Advanced Universal Remote. Watch the Grey Cup on November 19th to see if you're our $100,000 winner. Shop at Safeway. Ingredients for life.
Purolator? Welcome to You Do Voodoo. We get thousands of orders online for cheating boyfriends, business partners. Thing is, they're heat sensitive.
No problem.
We ship coast to coast?
Coast to coast.
Coast to coast.
Purolator's Canada's largest courier.
Delivered by 9 a.m.?
Overnight guaranteed.
When you ship with Purolator, out of the ordinary is never out of the question. Purolator, where business is going.
On November 19th, football fans from across Canada will be in Winnipeg to watch the 94th Grey Cup. Don't miss your chance to be there in the stands as a new champion hoists the cup. There are still tickets available for this year's Grey Cup. Go to CFL.ca and click on Grey Cup tickets. Milt Stiegel, more than most, would love to be in that Grey Cup game. That's the one thing missing from his resume, a Grey Cup ring. They give to Roberts. At that time, little or no running room for Sir Charles. Couple of yards.
Well, you see the backs today have run extremely well when called upon. Roberts, of course, is going to carry a lot of the load for the Winnipeg offense. So he has 14 carries for impressive 90 yards. But Williams, 3 for 32, over 10 yards a carry. John Avery, 6 yards a carry with 4 for 24. So, hey, even as a former receiver, everyone loves a good running game. You know, these guys are controlling the football and not turning it over offensively.
2nd and 8 Blue Bombers. Glenn under pressure. pressure and brought down shy of the line of scrimmage by England.
I think this is where you see Kevin Glenn and his maybe lack of mobility because of his ankle give him trouble.
You're watching the Scotiabank East semifinal. Argos leading the Blue Bombers 7-6.
There are places where your best friend isn't a dog. It's a Toyota truck. Everything we've learned out there has gone in here. Introducing the 2007 Tacoma. Big, tough, and with a V6 that makes some V8s nervous. It's very powerful.
Bullied, ripped off, fed up.
I want out of my contract.
David versus Goliath. Wendy Mesley takes your fight to company headquarters.
Solid case, big fight.
Underdogs.
Who will win? Who will lose?
Premieres Thursday, November 16th on CBC.
Linger in the deep end of moisture. Only Olay Ribbon's body wash has a ribbon of cream streamed through it. The ribbon transforms into rich lather that infuses skin with satin-like beauty that lasts from one shower to the next. With Olay Ribbon's body wash, love the skin you're in.
Having trouble finding a technician you can trust? Come to One Stop, your complete automotive service center. Top quality parts, licensed technicians, servicing all makes and models, backed by a nationwide guarantee. One Stop Service, quality auto repair you can trust.
Hey, baby, here we go again, baby.
In his past 5 games, he has 14 tackles, 1 interception, 1 touchdown, 4 sacks, and 1 blocked field goal, and a sack today. Eric England is hot.
Yeah, he's getting hot when it counts.
Here we go, baby.
I want to hear him talk a little more, but in the playoffs, when it counts, he only had 5 sacks for the season. You see, as of late, he's had 4 of those, and now 1 here in the playoff game.
Westwood punting. Livingston at the 51, backing it up, looking for running room on the far side, and he's running out of room. He tries to reverse again, still on his feet, finally forced out of play at about the 46 or 47-yard line. A flag is down. A 35-yard punt from Troy Westwood, and Livingston, after all that effort, loses 3 yards on the play.
Yeah, I was going to say they had to call this on Fletcher. I mean, with all the calls on returns this year, from the side and from the back with blocking. And of course, I could be wrong because I see some going the other way against Winnipeg because it was called so late. I thought it was on Fletcher for blocking McKinley, but maybe it was a reaction of McKinley on Fletcher that they ended up getting.
Here's the call from Andre Proulx.
There is no infraction on the play. Toronto number 2 was pushed into the Winnipeg player. No infraction.
Coming up at the half, Canadian Tire at the half. Elliot Friedman and the panel will analyze this first half of play. And back in the day, we roll back the clock, 1987, and the Eastern Final. Here at the Rogers Center in Toronto, we're 2:34 from the half. 1st and 10 Argos from their own 47-yard line. R.J. Sauer, wide right. They give to Avery. Avery stopped as he hits the line of scrimmage, falls forward, might pick up a yard, yard and a half.
Ricky Williams a little slow to get up. Really used Ricky Williams for the most part as the blocking back today for John Avery, and vice versa when Williams carries the ball. Avery's got to get in there and be the blocking back, which is, you know, that's kind of unique for these guys that are used to being the feature back in an offense.
In talking to Doug Barry yesterday, the Bombers head coach, he said he didn't expect to see number 20 and number 27 in the same backfield on too many occasions. Williams, the lone back there with Allen now. Allen completes to Keith Stokes. Stokes has the first down as he comes up just shy of the 45-yard line.
Stokes is kind of this X factor unknown in today's football game, and I think can be huge. I mean, with Arlen and Bruce getting all that attention, here's a guy, you know, who used to just be a returner being utilized as a receiver. When he was in Montreal, he was just the kick returner. But he's a great athlete, can make big plays, as we just saw.
No huddle for Damon Allen and the Argos offense. 1st and 10. The Bombers 47. They get to Williams. Williams goes off the right side. Picks up 4 yards.
You know, and I just saw it from up here. After Avery came off the field on his last carry, I saw Coach Clemens get right in his face, and they exchanged. I don't know what happened there, but now we see Ricky Williams carrying it a little bit, and I see Jeff Johnson come in as opposed to Avery coming back in. I'm just wondering what's going on between Clemens and Avery, that they had to get in each other's face on the sideline.
From the 43, Toronto, 2nd and 6. Allen with time. Dumps it off to Jeff Johnson, and he's got space. Jeff Johnson down inside the 25-yard line of the Blue Bombers.
Well, I just don't think they lose anything. I actually think they gain a lot when Jeff Johnson comes onto the field, but I see him limping as he gets up. Patience by Damon Allen. He also had Ricky Williams down the middle. Let's watch the end of this run. If he doesn't do something to one of his legs, just comes down because he got up limping a little bit. But a great Jeff Johnson, just a great back. Again, a great runner, great receiver.
A 20-yard advance for the Argos. 1st and 10 from the 23.
It's John Avery right there, forced back into action because of the injury to Jeff Johnson. Just not on the same page. Wide open, uncovered at the slot back position. Just didn't turn around.
What did Pinball say in that face-to-face confrontation? It may have rattled Avery.
It wasn't pleasant, I can tell you that, because Pinball was not happy. But now, you know, your back that you counted on to come in for him, Jeff Johnson's hurt. You got no alternative but to put John back in there. And it may have been nothing. I don't know. It just looked kind of confrontational to me.
2nd and 10, Toronto, from the 23 of Winnipeg. Allen with time, fires over the middle. Touchdown, Argos! Michael Palmer.
Wow, what a shot by Damon Allen, and what a thrill for Michael Palmer, the Guelph Griffin, with a huge touchdown catch. And a playoff game against Winnipeg, boy, he's got to be excited about that. He beat Marlborough on the play. A really good cover guy. You can see the excitement in Palmer, and why not?
It's not the biggest crowd of the season, but it's certainly one of the noisiest here at the Rogers Center as the Argos put up a major score. They now lead 14-6.
Well, this is not an ad for a car.
A new kind of soft drink.
Or running shoes. It's an ad for Celebrex.
I am not a famous movie star.
Or a professional athlete.
And I'm not here
To recommend Celebrex to you.
I am here
To recommend.
Let you talk to an expert about it. Ask your doctor about Celebrex.
Palmer gets the touchdown on the Argos, go in front 14-6.
Watch Damon Allen roll left, and you see no free safety in them. That opens everything up for Palmer. And Marlborough almost makes the play, but Damon Allen just throws a bullet. You got no choice as a receiver but to catch that when it hits you in the chest like that. But that roll to the left gets the free safety out of the middle of the field, opens it up so you can come back to your receiver heading down the middle of the field. Great throw.
6 plays, 63 yards, just over a minute to do that. And Damon Allen, once again, elevating his game when it counts in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that's what we talked about before, though. With Arlen Bruce getting all the attention, you need those kind of unsung hero guys, Johnson, Palmer, Stokes, to step up and make plays, and they've done it for the Argos.
Albert Johnson at the 20. Brought down at the 25 by Rumpel. So Kevin Glenn will bring the offensive troops of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers onto the field, and let's see if they can answer that major scoring play from the Toronto Argonauts. The QB comparison.
Damon Allen, just like in 2004, playoff time came around after such a not-so-good season, lightened it up with 150 yards. Kevin Glenn has not been effective against this tough Argos secondary. You need to convert a couple of these passes when it's second and 5 or so. And his receivers have to step up and make plays.
The Bombers will start from their own 26. Roberts. And again, Roberts does most of that himself before Eric England is there to bring him down.
I think it's a good point, though, to stay under control, right? What you do well is run the ball with Roberts, so don't panic. You're down, actually, a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. Down 8 points. You know, stay within your game plan. Run Roberts, and then when the opportunity comes, then you throw the ball.
A gain of 7 for Roberts. 2nd and 3 Bombers from their own 33. They fake to Roberts. Glenn with room has the first down, running out of bounds.
That's a good play. That's what they did early. Remember the first 2 plays of the game were bootlegs after fakes to Roberts. You still can see that he's maybe not 100% with that ankle, but running effectively enough that he can pick up the first down. You see Milt Stiegel get a little block there at the end, but they need to manage this clock now. You got 50 seconds. I'm sure they're thinking at the very least, let's get in position, try to get 3 points out of this drive.
R.J. Franklin into the game as a wideout for the Blue Bombers. 1st and 10 from the 38. Glenn with time. And he was looking for Derek Armstrong, but he was well covered on the play. Carter was there. Flag is thrown.
A little, it looks where it's in the position of defensive holding or maybe a little celebration after, because it was in the secondary where the flag was thrown. But it could always be, well, we'll let the pros handle it. Let them make the call.
Pass interference. Toronto number 3, 10-yard penalty.
Wow.
First down.
I didn't know it would go against Carter, who's in for Cliff Ivory. You remember Ivory, watch the left side of your screen, and Carter closing on the play. I mean, wow, you know, I'm a receiver. I love it when they call interference, but I didn't see it on that one.
1st and 10, Winnipeg from their own 48. 45 seconds to play in the second quarter. Glenn picked up, and this could go all the way. It's Carter. Carter had space, but the Bombers closed down quickly and prevented Carter from going to the end zone. But a big turnover in the dying seconds of the second quarter for Toronto.
Absolutely a huge turnover. Carter, you know, maybe a little bit of poetic justice. Looked like great defense the play before, just steps in front. You got to be so careful when you throw an out ball against these Argonauts. They have great team speed from their defensive secondary. And we all know they love scoring touchdowns. I mean, they get one up the sideline. Usually it's for a touchdown. Huge play.
Carter had 5 in the regular season, and a big one here in the Scotiabank East semifinal. Instant field position for the Argos. 1st and 10 from the Blue Bombers' 30-yard line. Allen with time. Complete to Ricky Williams. And Williams dragged down at the 17-yard line. 1st down for the Argos.
The Winnipeg defense just isn't accounting for the running backs out of the backfield. They've completed a lot of footballs to Ricky Williams, to Jeff Johnson. You got to cover the running backs better. I know it's a lot to handle, all the receivers out there, but they go off the play action and they're hitting the running backs and they're wide open.
28 seconds remaining on the clock. 1st and 10, Toronto from the Winnipeg 17. Allen with time, looking deep. Bruce is there, and it's picked off by the Blue Bombers. Carizi Bear. And Hebert brought up short of the 15-yard line. But a couple of big turnovers, this one going to Winnipeg.
Damon Allen had Arland Bruce on this because Hebert was high as a free safety over top of Arland Bruce, and if Damon had flattened him out, watch the throw at the end, and it's high into the corner where Arland Bruce was open low and away. You can see that at the end. If he keeps that low and away, Arland Bruce can make the play. But here it goes up more vertical towards the back of the end zone and brings the free safety in play. And if you remember earlier when it was man-to-man coverage, he made that great throw to Arland Bruce because it was man-to-man. But here it's zone, and I think you needed to flatten him out a little bit to give him a chance to catch it.
So what do you do if you're Doug Berry here? Just get Glenn to take a knee and kill off the 14 seconds and go into the room trailing 14-6.
Yep.
And that's exactly what the Blue Bombers are going to do.
They dodged a bullet on that one. I mean, a bad interception to Carter put him in great field position where you thought that at the very least they're going to get a field goal, and then they throw the interception, which even Steven, right? Interception for each, and they go down just a touchdown at halftime.
A huge sigh of relief on the part of Doug Berry, no doubt.
Timeout, Toronto.
And the Argos are going to take a timeout.
I don't know. Odd chance maybe you'll get a punt and get one of your great returners out there. But it's not going to happen with only 13 seconds. That's a missed opportunity, and Pinball knows that. He's like, we've really had a chance to put them away. Winnipeg's not a team that scores a lot of points. You go up 2 touchdowns on them, it's going to be tough for them to come out of halftime and have a chance to win the football game. So he knows he could have put it away right there.
How big will that be? Stay with us and find out. As Winnipeg are attempting to kill the final seconds of this opening half here at the Rogers Center in Toronto. One more play should do it. The clock is running. Final seconds ticking away. As Glenn will once again take the knee, and time has run out. The teams will head to the room with the Blue Bombers leading or trailing 14-6, but the Argos with a big missed opportunity late in the second quarter when Hebert stepped in front of an errant Damon Allen pass that was intended for Arland Bruce III and picked it off. Let's go down to Scott Russell, who's with the head coach of the Toronto Argonauts, Pinball Clemens. Scotty?
Yes, Steve, here's Michael Clemens. Talk about a diversified offensive effort on your team's part today. Palmer's involved, Johnson's involved, Bruce is involved. Are you pleased with that?
We're pleased with how we're moving the ball offensively. Not pleased at all with not getting points in the score zone. We had two series there. We were in the score zone. We got 1 point out of. We got an interception on one. We missed a field goal on another one. 2 other times we only got field goals instead of touchdowns. We got to get in that zone and convert to touchdowns. You can't keep teams in ball games in the playoffs.
I like the catch you made today. You explained it all. Thanks very much, Michael.
All right, thank you.
There you go, Steve.
Michael Clemens, whose offense is a little bit more consistent in this opening half. It is Jeff Johnson, the only casualty for the Argos in that half. And at the half, it is Toronto 14, Winnipeg 6.